Okay. What's up, Diablo fans? We're live to talk about this game and to talk about quite a few things, to be honest. I hope you guys subscribe to me on YouTube at Evil Spectrum 3. Subscribe to me on Twitch at twitch.tv/EvilSpectrum3. And, of course, if you're into wrestling and sports, you can check out my main channel, Joe Cronin Show. But listen, I've been playing Diablo 3, Diablo 2, Diablo 1. Played them all. Been playing Diablo 4 since the day it came out. We're going to talk about this patch, man. This is a nightmare scenario, in my opinion. There's no getting around this. I don't understand how gaming companies get this wrong. I really don't. Now, first, I just want to say, the base game of Diablo 4 has been great, and it's been a game that was really fun for about 3 to 4 weeks. And I ran out of steam around level 70-something or other. That's me, casual sort of. I'm got to work a lot. I work now a ton. Even if I was still doing YouTube full-time for the 5 years I did it, I still would probably only be at level 85, maybe 90, something like that. Maybe I would be higher. I don't know. But right now I'm at level 72 or so. And that's all I've been able to do. And so for me, there's still 30 levels to get to, but the season's going to be starting soon. But the season has just gone to trash. It's gone to hell. Because not only are they patching so much stuff that it's knocking you back. So the game is essentially nerfed. You know what I mean? So you just played a game that, okay, I got to level 70. Well, now I'll play Season 1, and I'll probably won't get to that level, right? Or maybe I will after 3 or 4 months or whatever. The seasons are, 4 months? That's crazy. 4-month seasons is stupid. That's way too long. Like, these seasons should be 2 months. I'd do 2 months. And then another, you know what I mean? I said this in Diablo 3 seasons. Same thing. But regardless of that, fine. Seasons are whatever they are. 4 months. There's 4 a year, right? 4, 8, 12. Or am I wrong? I don't know. 3 a year, 3 seasons a year. Diablo 3 is crushing it right now. Now, make no mistake about it, when Diablo 3 came out, they had problems. And, Diablo 3's first couple of years are way behind Diablo 4. But the same complaints that Diablo 3 had in its first year that caused most of its player base to leave is exactly what we're dealing with now. I mean, I know it really is. First of all, I want to say, they've made a pretty nice game. Diablo 4 is a fun game. It's kind of what I wanted. It's close. But they have, a couple of times recently, kind of showed me that, man, they're a little bit out there with whatever they're thinking or whatever they were thinking of this game being. And I thought Season 1 might save it, or might help it. And this has been the opposite of that. It has been the opposite. This is one of the worst patches and one of the worst season launches that I can remember since getting into seasons. I mean, I understand Diablo 3. When Diablo 3 first launched, double goblins, and people were like, okay, double goblins. Double goblins might have been better than this, because how is that not better? Because right now, unless these malignant hearts work in a way that I don't understand, even if they do work well, say you get all the best malignant hearts, are you going to be like slightly more powerful than you are now as the base game? Or will you be about as powerful? How does that feel good? That doesn't feel good. We just played the game for over a month, and now we're going to be able to play the game in a worse way? You know what I mean? Is that really what's going on? This is just... when I read the patch notes, the second they dropped, I was reading them. As I continued to read them, I was like, what are they doing? And I don't know how the player base can be more in touch, how everybody can be more in touch. I've had ideas. I've had ideas and things where I said that would be fun. You know what I mean? Like these shrine things and events and goblin parties and power-ups and powers and crazy uniques and legendaries and things they could do. Not only are they not doing any of that, but they're nerfing the whole thing, so you will be less powerful. We're going to watch some videos and hear from some people. I want to listen to Rax for a minute because I've been watching him for 10 years, or not 10 years, for 5 years. Jesus, 10 years. What, are we trying to kill myself? I've been playing Diablo 3 since the day it came out, but Rax I've been listening to for about 5 years or so. Let's go with him first. We got Rax, we got Quinn, we got Asmongold, we got multiple other people's videos we're going to respond to. Dude, they have done so many dumb things. Helltides is dead. Like, Helltides is, like, dead because I didn't really like doing Helltides before. Oh, my God, bro. The Cinder things, they don't even drop. Why am I doing Helltides? This sucks. And now it's even more Helltides to open up the mystery chest. Dude, you know what I was doing? I was running Helltides and getting 2 to 3 mystery chests, and I was feeling pretty good about it. Now, if we run Helltides, you might get 1 mystery chest. Maybe. If you have the time and you start at the hour, I don't know. I'm not doing them. Not doing them. And I don't like Nightmare Dungeons. I don't like them. I do not like Nightmare Dungeons. They don't feel crazy powerful to me. They feel kind of like a job of leveling up gems, like in Diablo 3, having to do greater rifts to level up gems. I hate doing that. That's why when the seasons in Diablo 3 added something where you didn't need to level up gems anymore, you can do those, whatever those gray skull things were, and it just automatically levels a gem to 125 when you compete that crazy event. I don't even remember the name of all these things. But that was so much fun. I was like, wow, this is way better. Now I can just speed farm greater rifts, and when I want to level up gems, I'll just go into this, and I'll drop that and level up my gems. That's way funner. Like, Diablo 3 keeps solving problems to make Diablo 3 funner. Diablo 3 is really fun. If you don't play Diablo 3, or you stop playing in the first 3 years of Diablo 3 or something, you never went back to it, holy crap, bro. Season 28 is awesome. You know what? At this point, I'm like, hey, when are they announcing Diablo 5? Maybe that will be good. Hey, when are they announcing Diablo Season 29? Because that's what I want. I'm honestly, right now, that's what I'm looking forward to. And listen, if you're somebody who's like, man, well, I love Diablo 3, but on to Diablo 4, man, I can't go back. Oh, yeah, you can't go back? You're going to keep playing this shit? Like, dude, Lord Fluffy the other day, Lord Fluffy was like, I don't go back. You don't go back, bro? Season 28 of Diablo 3 was amazing. This sucks. Why would you play this and not go back? Oh, I just don't do that. I only go forward. Once a new game comes out, that's it. Really? So you play the stupid game? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Bro, Diablo 3 Season 28 is crushing it. And I can't wait for 2029. It's going to be great. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be great. You know what I mean? Come on. Oh, my God, bro. It's so bad. Hey, retard in the chat. I've been off on Wednesdays for like a year now. See how fucking retarded you fucking stupid trolls are? You can't even remember in your brains when I work and when I don't work, yet I've told you a million times. See, here we are talking about it again. You fucking retard. See? Probably Mr. Revere. Hi, Mr. Revere, you fucking loser doxer. Yeah, so it's like you can't remember. I've been off on Wednesdays for a month, but you just can't remember, bro, because you're a retard. Like, your brain is full of retardedness, and you are one yourself. So, nice try. Diablo will be on Game Pass. No, I don't know about that. I'm not sure about that. I don't think so. I don't even care. I don't care if it's on Game Pass or not. Fuck console. Dude, if you play Diablo on a console, fuck yourself. Like, you know what I mean? I don't care. If you play Diablo 3 or Diablo 4 on a console, fuck off. You know, because I don't even care. Game Pass, not game. I don't care what a game. I don't even know what a Game Pass is. I don't care what it is. This game is made for PC. Diablo is made for PC. If you play on a console, you're getting a fucking second-rate experience. Like, that's 100%. So, you know what I mean? Who gives a shit if they give it out free or Game Pass or not? I don't care. I don't care about that. Diablo 3 has been free since 2012, and we play it all the time. It's amazing. I've made money on Diablo 3. You don't want to play this game on an Xbox or a PlayStation. It's made for a PC. So, like, you're missing out on so many things if you're playing it on console. So that's why, like, I don't care when they say Game Pass or it comes out. Good, I hope it does come out on Game Pass. You deserve to get it for free because you're missing out on a ton of experience of what the PC gets. In fact, they've made it stupid because of consoles. Like, some of Diablo is way worse because they've had to acquiesce to the fucking consoles. So I don't like consoles. That's why I hate it. I don't like console gaming for Diablo and for certain games. I love it for, like, Halo. Halo, great. Pick up a controller. Madden, pick up a controller. But I ain't playing Diablo on a controller unless I am, like, you know, there's cross-play and I'm tired of sitting at my desk, so I want to lay down in the bed and maybe play a couple extra game minutes or something. I mean, but other than that, bro, they make the game worse on purpose so it can be on a console. Do you know? Like, that is the dumbest thing. Listen, some people do love it on a console, though. That's great. I hope you enjoy it. Like, go for it. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, like, it's not made for that, and they have started to make it for that, and because of that, there's so many things that are terrible. Because they're like, oh, got to put it on the consoles. Okay, go ahead. It's going to be worse. Let's listen to Rax.
Bonuses on weapons. We're overperforming, so we nerfed them. So we lost 25% on our weapons, okay? Cooldown reduction. They already nerfed the crap out of this. They feel mandatory due to their raw power. They're still going to be a highly desirable stat, but you lost 30% of it, and rogues get hit even harder with their traps and their imbuements. Say goodbye to 30% of your cooldown reduction. Critical damage and vulnerable damage are a hard requirement for a build success. This is true. So they believe that this is a step toward aligning it with other things. So we lost 40% vulnerable damage and 70% critical strike damage.
Dude, my whole build is around vulnerable damage. So, like, when the game first came out, I agree that they probably screwed this up and that they needed to roll it back, but they should have rolled this back before the game came out. This is the shit that should have been rolled back before the game came out. Because, dude, I don't even know what anything does anymore. What does all resist do? It seems like it does nothing. It used to do everything. Now it does nothing in Diablo 4. Okay, maybe I want dexterity. I feel like that's what I want, is lots of dexterity. Oh, no, yeah, you do, but you really want vulnerable as your number 2. Like, you don't want anything else. Critical strike, vulnerable, dexterity. Oh, well, now vulnerable does 40% less damage. Okay, so now do I still want vulnerable? Or should I move on to critical strike chance only? Or should I move on to dex or, like, what? I don't even know. We have to measure it out and experiment with it. Or maybe they, like, offset and it's almost the same thing, so it doesn't really matter anyway, and you're just multiplying damage. So I don't know. I don't know. Do you? I don't know. But all I know is that was the whole build that I just learned. We just learned how to play the game for a month. And now Season 1's coming out, and guess what? None of that matters. And there's a brand new seasonal theme of these malignant hearts. I don't know what they do. And right now, the game is at least, it's like 20%, 25% harder than it was, right? Everything, if you added it all up, like defensively, survivability, damage-wise, you add it all up, it's like 25% in worse case than it was, right? So, but what are these malignant hearts going to do? Are they going to allow you to get back to that regular, are you going to get back to it being 0? Or is it going to make the game way better and we don't even know? And it's like you're going to be 30% more powerful than you were ever in Diablo. And that's why they had to nerf these things, because then it makes sense. Well, if that's the case, say that in the patch notes. Say in the patch notes, we have discovered that the massive power that's going to happen due to the seasonal buff, or whatever, the seasonal theme, we needed to make sure we even out and nerf all this other stuff, or it would be it would just be insanity in the new season. But doing this allows us to keep everybody on a more even basis, and you'll experience more power than you've ever had in Diablo 4 come Season 1, you'll see. So don't let these buffs and these nerfs get you down, because the Malignant Heart's power is going to be incredible. Trust us. And then I'd be like, okay, well, okay, so yeah, there's something going on that we don't know about. Okay, all right, I can believe that then. We'll see what happens. But that's not what they said. That's not what they did. So all we're left with is what they took away, and we sort of have what the Malignant Hearts are, and we can project. You can kind of project right now that it's going to have a little bit of an effect on you, a pretty, like, an okay effect, but the way the game works is still completely different, and we don't really know. This is one of the worst patches and one of the worst seasonal launches. I mean, bro, this is bad. Like, this is not good. And not only do you have lots of casual people upset and angry, and people who have been sucking this game off, like blowing this game, people that are sucking this game off, saying that they're not happy with this and they're upset, but you got analytical people who are at the top of Diablo 4, like Rax and so many others who are coming out, and they're not just saying, this stinks, I'm angry, look at what they've done, you can obviously see it. They're actually getting analytical and being like, well, this now does this and will do that and has this effect, and they're breaking it down. It's not just ranting and screaming at clouds. There's actual data and there's actual knowledge, and there's an actual reason why so much is bad and why things aren't going to work and why people are going to leave this game, because this is not good. And again, I want to say the game is awesome in many ways, and they've done a lot of hard work, and I really appreciate that. And this game launched better than Diablo 3. However, this blowback that's happening right now is literally just like Diablo 3 all over again, but it took Diablo 3 like 6 months to start course correcting, and then it took them a year to really turn around, and in 2 years they started going somewhere, and bro, everyone was long gone. The first 8 months of Diablo 3, people were gone. I never left, and I played the game like crazy, and it just got better and better and better, and I love Diablo 3. Diablo 2, we all know how awesome Diablo 2 was. But it always seems that the games take until the first expansion to get really good, right? I mean, think about that, guys. That is the track record, right? Diablo 2, Lords of Destruction, that's when the game really launched off and just became a mecca. It was like, wow, this is... Do you know what I mean? In Diablo 3, it wasn't until Reaper of Souls, or really after Reaper of Souls, that things really started going well. And at that point, Blizzard abandoned the game, right? But then something magical happened with Diablo 3. A small development team that was left in charge of Diablo 3 was allowed to do things. And they did awesome stuff. Things that we all wanted to see. Amazing crap. Season 28 was just a month and a half or 2 months ago now. And it's one of the best seasons I've ever played in Diablo. But do we need that to happen with Diablo 4? Do we need Diablo 4 to be abandoned and like just some small team that actually gives a crap to go crazy and experiment with fun? Or are we stuck with this for another 3 years to where we're asking for Diablo 5? Because that's what happened. And then when Diablo 4 does get good, it doesn't really matter because everyone's gone and they just are left with the hardcore player base. And I don't mean hardcore like the game style. I mean the people that really just love the game so much they'll stick around. They like abuse. Like me. But I am not the norm.
I'm not saying... I would say philosophically, this is fine, right? You're right. These are mandatory to have a good build, and that's probably not good game design, and you're correcting it. The problem is this entire patch is paired with seemingly a lot of nerfs to our XP, to our cooldown, now to our critical strike, now to our vulnerable. And the things that we get with it are these very minuscule buffs to these little tiny things that probably won't amount to anything. Every patch of every Diablo game, all of them, Diablo 2, Diablo 3, Diablo Immortal even, and Diablo 4's launch, I'm usually very busy creating build guide after build guide. Here's something you could try. This is going to be really good. I'm not going to make one build guide for Season 1. I don't know what build guide I would make. What build guide am I going to make? I can't think of one. I made all the ones that I made are pretty much the same. And I can't think of any new ones. Maybe the Rupture Barb would be the only thing. Charge Barb, possibly. But, yeah, I mean, it's such an avalanche of bad news in one patch that I'm not sure that this was the right way to do it. Another thing, okay, let me finish, and then let me give you my overall thoughts. So let's keep going. We're not done.
This patch has made people's brains explode because nobody can believe that this is real. Like, that they actually went, this is what they thought was going to be good.
Yep. Disparities in inherent affixes can rule some weapons out. The the implicit on an item. Oh, swords always roll critical hit damage. Maces always roll whatever it is, overpower damage. Okay, well, critical strike damage is way better than overpower, so you always take a sword. So it doesn't matter how good the mace is, you always wear the sword. That's what they're talking.
Yeah, Inspector Todd, I agree, bro. Listen, Diablo 3 looked beautiful on a console. I'm sorry that I'm knocking console. I just don't like playing on console. People love playing on consoles. I'm being a prick by crapping on it. I'm being selfish, basically. So my bad. I agree, Inspector Todd. I think I'm being unfair as far as that goes.
So the items with the best implicits, they just nerf them. So cooldown reduction, you get way less. Critical strike damage, you get way less. And vulnerable, you get 65% less. Damn, that's a lot. Bonus to crowd-controlled enemies was overperforming. That got nerfed too. Sorcerers got double nerfed, at least Freezy Sorcerers, which is 20%. But it's not really Freezy Sorcerers because every Sorcerer pretty much feels forced at the moment to take Frostnova. So this isn't a Freezy Sorcerer. This is like almost every Sorcerer. Okay, now, this is the part that I really don't understand. Okay, so let's not read this. Let's go to Paint. Okay, I still have the drawing up that I made.
I like how Rax uses Paint too
on my stream. Let's just use this. Okay. So in the end game, there are like 3 things builds that aren't right, and there's a stack.
Basically, everything is screwed.
Health of the game. To chase this goal, we're shifting power to the offensive affixes from defensive affixes. So they nerfed defense and they buffed offense. So all you sorcerers that were feeling squishy before, you didn't see nothing yet. Because they're going to buff the offense.
Everybody's glass cannon. Every single character is now glass cannon, and sorcerer is dead. I mean, dude, that's what this is. Every single class is now a glass cannon build. You're going to have all kinds of problems, all kinds of issues, and sorcerer is just even the worst of all of those, is dead. So I'm going to tweet out something that's funny because it's true. I don't know where it went, but it was really funny. It was something somebody sent me. Oh, here it is. Oh my God, it's funny. Basically, it's this. Before we finish, there's more of this video. I'm going to listen to more of it, but before I get to that point, I gotta show you this. Because this is what it is. Did it go out? I hope you guys can click the like button, by the way, too, if you'd like to. Okay, here it is. I think Woodijo, his thumbnail sums up this whole thing. Nerfed damage, nerfed defense, nerfed Helltide, nerfed leveling, nerfed builds, deleted sorcerer. Yeah, it's basically sorcerer is dead. Sorcerer is dead, rest in peace. Patch notes, fixed multiple instances of players feeling excited for Season 1. Fixed a bug where Sorc players were hopeful about the future. Discovered an issue where too many players were enjoying Helltides. Nerfed to whatever was left of happiness and joy. Nerf what? Basically what happened. That's everything right there.
To nerf the defense. I don't understand this. This will make our endgame content more deadly for those chasing the pinnacle boss, but overcoming this boss should take every ounce of grit you can muster. We will.
Yo, D-Moon, they didn't fix the exploit. There's a couple of I don't know if they're exploits, but basically they didn't fix the poison explosion demon hunter or rogue on Lilith, and they didn't fix the druid with what the druid does to Lilith as well. But they did fix the barbarian. So Barb got screwed, but druid and rogue will still be able to explode Lilith. But honestly, I don't care about that. I don't care if a couple of people or a few hundred people are going to be able to go in and blow Lilith up. She doesn't do much. She doesn't drop anything really. Who cares, right? It's just a thing you got to do. Okay, great for you. You know what I mean? Like, if they nerf that, whatever. I'm more like, but Jimmy Jones, who only can get to level 60 every season or level 90 every season, he's the one that gets screwed.
We'll evaluate feedback from the community. I don't understand this.
Everybody's glass cannon. Everybody is glass cannon.
It doesn't make sense to me. I, as a player, this is a personal opinion, not speaking on behalf of anybody but myself, I despise glass cannon builds. I don't like them.
See?
People usually like my build guides because I like all-around builds. I'm okay with not playing the #1 DPS or the #1 fastest or the #1 tankiest. As long as it scores very well in everything and it just feels good to play, that's the build for me. If I'm not allowed to make such a build, the second option that I would take is a defensive build. As long as I can't die and I'm a little slow, no problem. As long as you can't kill me, I'm feeling good. I hate the 10,000 million damage, 0 defense, try to one-shot everything before they can one-shot you. A stray arrow kills you in one hit. I don't like that, man.
Yeah, I don't like that. It's ARPG. I just want to slaughter, right? You just want to slash, hack and slash. You don't want to thoroughly think out your like, oh, I'm dead. You know, you don't want to do that really. Some people do, and that's okay because there can be builds for that. And I like that. That's fine. I don't want to play like that. Neither does he. And neither does the majority of people playing these games. I would say 60% of people don't want to do what we're sort of getting into doing here.
The game already kind of felt like that.
And I get them wanting to slow the game down because from their point of view, let me tell you what's going on. First of all, what I think is happening. What Blizzard is realizing is that if they're going to implement power and powerful things in seasons, what they're realizing is they don't want it to be Diablo 3, where Diablo 3 season comes out, and it is like a maniacal race. Like the second Diablo 3 launches a season, boom, like we're all ready to go. Like, let's go right now. And it's like a full-on race for about a week or two, maybe 3. Mostly 2, though. It's 2 weeks of crazy fun, and then the season's over. Diablo 3. 70% of the people drop off after the second week. Not because the game is terrible and that sort of thing, but it's just like you get to Paragon 1,000 or 1,500, and then you go, okay, on to the next thing. Now, I don't. I'm much slower than that, and I enjoy the season. I'm still playing right now. But the point is, they don't want that to happen with this, where everyone plays season, whatever it is, for like 2 weeks and then bails. Because then people will start bailing from the game altogether. So I think they're thinking, okay, let's try to make it so you can't just get to level, 60 to 100 within a month. They don't want you to be at level 80 in a month. You know what I mean? I think they want you at level 80 like a lot later, like in the second month. Because what I think they're realizing is, okay, this is when people start walking away from the game. A lot of people start walking away from levels 50 to 100. There's a huge drop-off of players from 50 to 100. Huge drop-off. So if people are reaching 50 to 100 in the first, 20 days of the season, we're going to lose almost everybody at that point. They want you playing the seasons longer. They want you to have to work harder and longer to get to it. But I think what this will actually do is it will make casuals leave the game quicker. So I think they're mistaken. I think then instead you're going to still see people leave in 20 days or in 15 days or whatever, because they're going to feel bad that they can't get to a level that they want to, and it's taking them even longer. So now they're going to leave faster. Where I think if you went the other way and you actually increased their power and allowed them to reach 100 quicker and then added whatever, something to it and made it more exciting to keep playing, then you would play even longer. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm trying to think, like, this is why I think Diablo 3 has worked much better recently because there's so many things to now do that you have goals and there's fun loot drops that you don't know when they're going to happen and you're looking for them and they last longer. But with Diablo 4 right now, man, this does not feel good.
In the end game content, and now it feels even more than that. This is just one change. This is just the item affixes. They also took away a lot of your cooldowns, and they also took away disobedience, which was like the best defensive power in the game. So certainly by many orders of magnitude, sorry, I'm losing my voice here.
Jesus, this game is killing Rax, for Christ's sake. He's about to die on the stream. Like they're killing Rax. Jesus, Rax.
Many orders of magnitude, the hardcore race is going to be really, really exciting because people are going to die. That's for sure.
He is right. The hardcore race is going to be funny. It's going to be like when you had 100 people climbing a mountain. Do you know what I mean? The hardcore race originally was going to be like 100 people trying to climb a mountain. Whoever gets to the top of the mountain first, might win the hardcore race. But now it's going to be like 100 people climbing the mountain, but there's also 100 people up top throwing rocks down at their heads. Like, that's what the hardcore is going to be like this season. So one thing you can say is that hardcore will be more exciting, as Rax just said. Although I don't know if it gets any more exciting than any hardcore player at any point dying because of loading screens. So, I mean, didn't they kind of already have that?
And they also nerfed the sustain as well. They also nerfed some of the perma unstoppables. So I'm trying to be as objective on this as possible. Blizzard has certainly made some good changes here. The sharing of the map, the sharing of the altars, when they implemented the Nightmare Dungeon teleport, they're taking down some of the super broken builds. They're fixing a lot of the bugs.
Yeah, those are the good things, and there are some good things. So there are some good things.
Although the buffs to this, a lot of these things don't really matter. They do help a little bit. Okay, so it's kind of like in the right direction. But some of these things don't make sense to me. They just don't make sense to me at all, especially this entire thing with crucifying everything in one patch and shifting it so far out of defense. I don't know what's so wrong with working on a character very, very, putting in a lot of effort and putting in the right defensive pieces and aspects and the right gems and sockets in your gear where you can actually get in there and fight a little bit. It seems like everything is going to be a glass cannon, man. I really don't understand it. I can tell you from what I've seen so far, the feedback from the community that I have heard, which is not...
Let me guess, not good. Dude, everyone's freaking out about this now. And I thought it was bad when I saw it, but I was like, maybe I'm overreacting, but this seems horrifically terrible. And the season itself doesn't feel very good. But I guess I'm like everybody else.
Not everybody has been pretty negative. And I think that's putting it nicely.
Ooh.
I think people really, really don't like this patch. Now, some people, of course, are just mad because of the nerfs, and I get it. Nobody likes to be nerfed. But I think it's for a lot of different facets, too. I think
we're coming to find out that they nerf things that aren't even in the patch notes. There's stuff that they nerfed they didn't even tell you about. That's the other crazy thing. That doesn't look good. That does not make you look good. You just nerfed a bunch of stuff that it's not even in the patch notes. And Helltides is like, I still can't believe that, dude. I thought they would add to Helltides to make Helltides more fun. They've made it worse. Some of the stuff is unbelievable. My whole build was around vulnerable. Now there's no vulnerable, right? Or I don't know. But doesn't seem good. So I don't know. What am I looking for next season? I don't know.
I think it's for some of the philosophy thing, the philosophical decisions here. And I don't know. Some of these things are a big question mark for me. But it is what it is. Okay, so
That's not
I
what
do
you
have
wanna hear.
some important videos to make for you guys. I have already started testing every single night of the new Nightmare Dungeons. I'll have the tier list out for you.
It's camp, what's up?
Your mom's coming by.
Okay, I'm live right now.
She just left work.
Okay.
She said that if we want food from like somewhere like that Italian place or something like that.
I just ate a pile of lasagna, so I'm out on that. I wish I knew about that an hour ago.
So you don't want anything from
I guess you can get me something. I'll heat it up later. I can't really eat it again. My gallbladder will explode. I don't know. Whatever. Get whatever for me.
I don't know what to get. You're supposed to call her. She said.
All right, I'll call her.
Call her.
Then nothing, I guess.
I don't even remember the name of it.
I don't know. I'll text her. I don't know. Where were we? Fuck. Yeah.
For you tomorrow. I'm almost done with it. I'll have a tier list for the classes for you. I'm gonna have.
Source. Everybody's dead. Everybody's glass cannon. Everyone's like a mess, and sorcerers are dead. Like there's just like, bro. Everybody. It's really funny. And you know what's messed up is I was gonna play a sorcerer. That's my second class. First I was gonna do barbarian, and then I was like, all right, never mind. I'm gonna do sorc. And then because I'm a rogue, and I was like, well, let me do sorc. And I kind of like how sorcs play. And now it's like, okay, should I play the dead class? Should I play the witch doctor of Diablo 4?
Have to think about it a little
Although,
bit.
you know, Wizard got screwed in Diablo 3 as well. It's like, bro, they hate wizards. Probably because they are them.
Barbs are really bad.
I know what place it is.
Sorcerers will be really good at speed farming. I don't know how they're going to do any hard content anymore. I don't know how they're going to survive. Necros are trending in the right direction, but their best build got nerfed without that much compensation for it. Druids can now be crowd controlled, but they didn't lose Rampaging Werebeast. So probably Druid and Rogue at the top, Barb toward the bottom, along with Sorcerer and Necro. It's got to be it, something like that. Anyway, I'll make the tier list for you tomorrow and explain it in detail. And then we'll have the race. I'm going hardcore solo self-found. So the chances of me dying just went way up from this patch, which honestly makes it more exciting. I'm fine with dying for content. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, hardcore wise, they will have maybe a funner time if you're a sicko, or if you're a content creator. Do you know what I mean? It's a fun time if you're a content creator, right? And if you're a viewer of a content creator. So I really think we got to go back on what we said. Oh, it's going to be really fun for hardcore. No, it's not. It's going to be fun if you're watching hardcore players, and it's going to be fun if you're a streamer and you make money from dying. Do you know what I mean? But it's not going to be fun for Tim, John, Joe, and Mike, who like their only thing they like to do is play hardcore, but they really don't want to die because they've got work every day and they don't have a lot of time to play. You know what I mean? Like, so that is not good.
Time. Patch 1.
Let's check out another video.
1.1 dropped yesterday for Diablo 4, and literally not a single soul on the planet is actually happy about this patch, and there is no way to put this lightly. Hype for Season 1 for the vast majority of players has been killed, just completely wiped out. There are at least a dozen major things that players have been asking for, things that are genuine issues we've noticed in the hundreds of millions of hours, by the way, of playtime that the community has racked up as a whole. Things that make the game just sort of frustrating currently, and how many of those were fixed in this patch? Exactly 0. They weren't even mentioned. On top of that, they made
they did fix a couple of things that were, I think, fairly important, but they made some good moves. It was like these patch notes, like 15% of the patch notes are good, or things that feel bad but are necessary. I get it, but the rest of it this is just one of the worst patches I've ever seen ever. This is going to be error 37 of Diablo 4. Diablo 4 launched really well as opposed to Diablo 3, but it's like in reverse. This is terrible.
Every single character weaker offensively. They limited our top end potential a significant amount, and hey, how about a nerf to survivability across the board that makes even the tankiest of builds no longer actually feel tanky in any real way? Oh, one of my favorite bits, cooldown reduction was being prioritized by players, so they nerfed it to make it feel less annoying if you don't have it. What? This is a gross way to interpret that. The way to make it feel less of a detriment to not have cooldown reductions is to reduce the cooldowns for everyone. Sure, go ahead, nerf the cooldown reduction stat, but only if you're going to compensate that by reducing these cooldowns that people were actually using the stat for, the ones that people thought that this stat was necessary to be able to use. Because for the most part, people weren't using the stat to get overpowered, they were using it to just make builds function as a base in the first place. And by nerfing this, you've essentially just killed a number of builds without offering any alternatives.
Yeah, it was like in order to make a build work, certain builds work, you had to find all this cooldown reduction to get that to work, which is a weird thing that, I mean, I guess in Diablo 3, the Demon Hunter really needs it, and you really need it in Diablo 3 for many things, but I mean, but you don't need it. It's like it's a quality of life thing, and it makes your build better. And yes, look for cooldown sometimes. But in Diablo 4, it was like, oh, if you're gonna play this, you need this, or it don't work. Well, guess what? That's gone. Like, I mean, like, what are they doing?
It sucks. And this is just one of many examples of the things in this patch that I don't agree with in the slightest. Before I get too deep into it, it's pretty apparent that the developers are aware of just how angry the community is about all of this, because they scheduled a surprise campfire chat developer stream for this upcoming Friday out of nowhere within 8 hours of the patch coming out. They want to talk about this now, and this is possibly...
Well, they should talk about it today, but I guess they're talking about it Friday. So the developers are holding a live stream on Friday to talk about this. I mean, I really think you need to do this now, but the fact that they're doing it is something. But they're doing it after the season launches, probably because they're busy launching the season. So they'll be doing it right after the season launches, I guess. I don't know. Which, by the way, the season launches in the middle of the morning day on Thursday. What? Like, legit, like right as I arrive at my job, right as I start working on Thursday, the season starts. Talk about feels terrible. You know what I mean? Like, this can't get any worse. The patch is terrible. The season is confusing or terrible. And on top of that, the season starts the second I start my shift at work. So I can't wait to come home. Now, season Diablo used to start on Friday nights, which was terrible for me as well, because I did monetize this on Friday nights. So, but I would at least have a couple hours to play before doing monetize this. So it was kind of fun, and it's Friday night, and even if you have to work on Saturday, at least you have sort of a Friday night to play around for 3 or 4 hours or whatever on the season. Now, like, well, you're way behind everybody else in the race. What's the point? You have to take off work Thursday and Friday. Or, I don't know. Like, so it's just like, what? This fucking, everything is wrong.
The most dangerous thing that they could do, realistically, and I'll make it clear why. The community is extremely frustrated with the changes that the team chose to focus on for this, and the changes that the team refuses to make as well. If they do this stream and they don't offer any actual timelines on actual changes that people have been asking for, if they don't say something like, hey, yeah, we'll add more stash space next week, it's just going to make people even angrier. As it currently stands, a large percentage of the player base is just completely demoralized about the concept of playing this game now. They just don't care. This patch is simply one of the biggest letdowns in recent gaming history. Diablo 4 at launch was fun. They did some nerfs, of course, but then they did some buffs, and everyone was feeling pretty good about it, right? Then we all knew Season 1 was approaching. We were all sort of building hype for it. We all knew there was going to be a big patch right beforehand.
What? With what?
Maybe it would even fix some of the issues that we had. After all, since launch, players have been politely bringing up issues that they thought needed to be fixed when it came to monster density in the game. Certain monsters doing enough damage to one-shot characters, which just feels unfair, especially when it's not super high content. The whole resistance system in the entire game just not functioning properly, which not only makes all of us squishier, but absolutely screws over sorcerers, whose main stat is intelligence, and they should be basically immune to resistances as a result of that, but they aren't.
Yeah, this season, too, it's literally like anti-sorcerer. Like, sorcerers just, why would you ever play sorcerer this season? Like, I mean, why would you even play the season at all at this point? But I mean, why would you play sorcerer for sure? Like, this is like, if you're a sorcerer, you're definitely got to be trying another class, right? I mean, this can't, unless they change it, which they're not going to. How can they change anything? A lot of people want the season rolled back or them to hold off on it or whatever. I don't think they would ever do that. I don't think they would ever do that. I think that the top-notch players leveled faster than they thought, and I think some of the top players, did some crazy exploitive stuff that they didn't expect, and so everybody's being punished for that. You know what I mean? When half the player base, and the casual, you know what I mean? When I say, I mean the casual people like me. People that are going to play the game. They're not going to just leave tomorrow because whatever. They're here for a while at least. They're committed for a while. People like that and below are all screwed. You know what I mean? Anybody who's below level 80 right now is screwed, in my opinion. If you're 80 to 100 or above, you figured it out. If you're over 100, if you're 100 a while back, I mean, those are the people that they're upset about. So those people, which I don't know what percentage of the gameplay of the gamers that is. Is that 5 to 10% of the gamers? I mean, at this point right now, I feel like it's 5 to 10% of the people have gotten to level 100 and completed the whole campaign. It feels like 80% of the player base hasn't gotten to 100 and hasn't completed the campaign, but now this is a huge buff. It's like, what?
Dungeon Finder, or just general looking for group systems, as they sort of built Diablo 4 to essentially be the Diablo MMO. Stash changes or upgrades because we desperately need more stash space, not to mention the ability to filter loot that is in your stash or even your inventory in different ways.
Just like we didn't have a filter in Diablo 3 and then they added it 5 years later.
Things like by type of legendary aspect, by specific legendary aspect, even freaking alphabetically would have helped a significant amount. And all of these issues.
This guy's funny. This guy thinks they would add all that in the beginning of the game when Diablo 3 didn't get it for like 7 years. That's really funny.
Which aren't even all of the issues, just the top of the barrel. Not a single one of these, not even one, was even mentioned in this massive patch. The only real thing I consider a meaningful positive change, they made it so the max level requirement of sacred items is now 60, and the max level requirement of ancestrals is now 80, which is good for your alt characters. Too bad that they killed alt leveling hard, and so a ton of players who would have gotten to enjoy this change now just will not interact with it because of that.
I also won't do alt characters because I have no stash space. I have no stash space available. I don't want to create alt characters. And if the idea of the game is to, you want to make a second build? Well, you need to make a second character. You know what I mean? You want to do twisted knives instead of frost burn or whatever the hell it is? You want to do something different? Well, you need to make a new character. If they intend for that to be the way it is, okay, that's understandable. It's either really penalizing to re-roll your main character with that scroll, to reset Paragon and everything. Okay, fine. If that's the way they wanted the game to be, that's okay with me. Fine. I don't like it. I like Diablo 3 better, where I can switch builds and have different builds at will and just click the button and my previous build loads. I like that better. That's more MMO style, though. But if you're trying to go back to the roots of Diablo 2 and you're trying to go into the no, if you want a new build, you got to make a new character, or you have to really get penalized to respec your whole thing. Okay, that's fine. If that's the way they want the game, then I understand that. I would stop complaining about that. If they came out and said that, I'd be like, okay, I'll stop complaining. I'll just realize that if I want to ever try a new build, it's either going to be erasing my character basically build and then restarting over and taking that hit, or it's going to be making a brand new character so I can have that build. And I'll stop thinking about clicking on a button to switch builds. Okay, that's how you want it. That's fine, but at least I know. But right now, I don't think anybody knows. And people are like, I just want to make new builds. Well, I don't think they want the game to be like that. I think they want the game to be like Diablo 2. They don't want it to be like an MMO, which is weird because they kind of made this game the most MMO of any of the Diablos, but then they don't put in certain MMO features. And also, they clearly wanted open world to run around on a horse, but nobody really likes that. So now you can just beam to the places, which you could do in Diablo 3. In fact, in Diablo 3, it was a pain in the ass, so you had to beam to places. But guess what? This map is even bigger than Diablo 3, and you couldn't beam to places. They want you on the horse traveling around manually. Guess what? People don't like that. Okay, you can beam to places. So everything about the MMO thing that they were trying to push, which we knew was going to be stupid. I said this from the beginning. I said, I don't want an MMO. I like playing solo, Southbound, Diablo. That's what I want. I don't care about MMO. I don't want to play World of Warcraft. That's why Diablo 3 had problems. They tried to make it look like World of Warcraft, and they tried to make it World of Warcraft in some ways. And it didn't. Those ways didn't work out. But now people are kind of used to that because we get used to Diablo 3. So this game is just bizarrely all over the place. Like, which is it? So now I think it's about, okay, what do people like? What do people don't like? Even if it goes against the philosophy, we'll just do that. Okay, I can understand that, and I can accept that, and I think that's good of them. They're like, it doesn't matter. MMO, ARPG, whatever you guys like, we'll just do it. We completely wanted this game to be about the horses. By the way, one of my ideas for a season, I already said this the other day in a video. One of my things for a season would be that like your horse can run through and kill enemies. Like, think of how fun that would be. Like, this season, there's a lot of changes. This season, when you ride your horse, explode through barriers and kill enemies instantly, like when, for a short period of time. So can you imagine that you have a power-up, that when you hit the power-up for like 30 seconds, when you run into enemies on your horse, it kills them and blows them up, and you're running around on your horse killing people once in a while, and now you run through barricades and barriers automatically? That'd be really fun. Just put that in the game. And then guess what? You can keep the part where you run through barriers forever. I understand you don't want to keep killing the enemies. That's fine. Take that out. But you could keep the barrier thing. Now it's fun to ride on your horse. Through the barriers. Through the barricades. Or maybe that could even be a skill that goes on one of your items. How about a mount like that? Ever think about that? A mount? A temporary mount that's rare, but it drops. If you play the game for about an hour, you'll probably find one of them. If you play the game for 3 hours, you might find two of them. And when you apply them to your mount, they last for about an hour or two. So once in a while, you got to keep applying them here or there, but it allows your mount to be super, and he plows through enemies and kills them and plows through barriers. I don't know. These are just ideas I have, and I'm an idiot. And if you said that that's part of the new season, we have a lot of things changing this season. For this season, you'll be able to utilize a magical steed empowerment where your horse does this. And they could decide if they want to keep it permanently or not at the end of the season. But either way, that season, that'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it be? Doesn't seem like that's hard to do. Guess what? You could do it now! Why don't I work at Blizzard? I just feel like that's obvious.
That said, okay, maybe they are working slowly, right? I can handle that. Maybe they are planning to work this stuff out during the season, right?
Oh, bro, I'm having a blast playing Diablo 3 right now. I just found I have 2 primal weapons now. I'm pumped. I'm having a great season 28.
If the only bad news is that they didn't address quality of life concerns, that is annoying but not game destroying. Well, what if I told you that they reduced all of the relevant gear stats by an insane amount? The thing is, the game is built on math at its core. Realistically, the math was created while they were making the game in a way that makes damage multipliers worth more than additives. That's just the way that math is. Specifically, this was applying to crit damage and vulnerable damage, ending up making them more valuable than pure damage additive increases. They obviously knew this when they made the game though. They made it that way, and yet they still seem totally surprised that people were using this to their advantage. And so what did they do? They decided that this is bad. They nerfed crit damage, they nerfed vulnerable damage, both of them an insane amount. They nerfed cooldown reduction because they didn't like that people were having
They were too busy putting the rainbow flag up at Blizzard headquarters to fucking pay attention to this.
fun with that stat. They nerfed a ton of defensive affixes on gear that made people actually able to take part in high-end content of the game. And why did they do all of this? Because they wanted to make the affixes on gear feel more equal, so that you wouldn't feel pressed to have one over the other. What a load of horseshit. These affixes aren't equal because that's just how the game.
This guy commenting right now, guys, he's been nothing but like positive about Diablo 4. This guy talking right now from Rage Gaming videos, he has been nothing but positive and upbeat and like, let's go, and this is great, and making very professional, serious type of guides. I have never heard him complain before, and I think he just swore. That's significant to me. This guy, I have never heard him swear like this before about the game. That's crazy. This guy's been nothing but positive. This video now is 130,000 views in 6 hours.
They nerfed cooldown reduction because they didn't like that people were having fun with that stat. They nerfed a ton of defensive affixes on gear that made people actually able to take part in high-end content of the game.
Now you're glass cannon.
And why did they do all of this? Because they wanted to make the affixes on gear feel more equal, so that you wouldn't feel pressed to have one over the other. What a load of horseshit. These affixes aren't equal because that's just how the game works. Some of them will be better than others. You specifically put all of the affixes in the game. You knew which affixes you were putting in. You knew some of them would be better than others. And
It's like they just threw stuff at the wall, and when you figured out what stuff stuck, they were like, oh no, let's just get rid of that now. Okay. That's like Diablo 3. That's like in Diablo 3, I'm a demon hunter. I know I want dexterity. I know I want critical hit chance and damage. Boom. I know I don't want thorns. This game has a mishmash of a million things. And then when one thing comes out over the other, they don't want that. They want you to just, I don't know, like they want you to just, it all to be equal, I guess, which will then equals one stat of damage. Well, but then why do they keep rolling? They actually added some new stats to items, and they're junk. You can't use them for anything, but they added them. So now there's a chance that your item will roll with something useless even more. We didn't even talk about that yet. What the fuck is the point of that? So now useless things can roll in your items. Like what are we doing?
You made the ones that you genuinely realized were better be rarer to acquire, so you clearly knew that they were all good. You made the enchanter prioritize certain ones when you realized that they were important, so you clearly knew that they were good, but because you want people to use weird niche flat damage increases instead, you reduced vulnerable damage upgrades across the board by 40%? That's insane. Yes, I agree that vulnerable was arguably too strong. It just was. Your build was at a significant disadvantage if you didn't have a way to apply vulnerable, and having vulnerable damage stats on gear was really good. And yet this does not fix that. This change doesn't change that. Vulnerable is still a multiplier, and so even without any vulnerable damage boosts on gear, having vulnerable is still really strong. You're still forcing people to use those skills. All you did was punish the people who were already using it and the people who were stacking the damage to actually make it a little bit better. Yes, this does even the playing field, but it doesn't make the people who are doing low damage closer to the people doing high damage. It just pushes everyone down a ton in a really strange way. Just why? Why do this? Why do it in this way? Here's my biggest bit of constructive criticism here. These nerfs, they could be acceptable, but not in this way. You cannot apply this big of a nerf to the entire player base in one single patch, and you absolutely can't do it without also offering some significant buffs in other areas to compensate it. You have to make,
or without making a clearly awesome first season. But none of that's happening, it seems.
people actually want to play the game. And they did add some buffs, but they didn't add enough to compensate for just how much they destroyed certain things. You have to make people feel like their time spent in the game so far has been meaningful in at least a little bit of a way, because doing this the way that they have, one gigantic nerf all at once without any truly compensating buffs, has just killed most hype for Season 1. And when I say this is one of the biggest fumbles in recent gaming history, Season 1 hype was actually riding decently high. Season 1 is now a day away, but was just 2 days after this patch. This was their big opportunity to address some quality of life issues, buff off-meta playstyles to let people swap things up and try new things that are actually could be strong in the season, and just really incentivize and foster that excitement for the season, make people enjoy playing the game, make people more excited for what's to come. What did we get? An absolute dump truck of changes that feel like they scream, we actually want you to take a break from the game and come back later. To put it simply, up until this point, I've been very fair. I feel like I've been giving the developers a really big big benefit of the doubt
This guy's been blowing them up until this point.
sort of thing, where I've not been judging them too hard on the minor changes that they haven't been making, on the major changes that they've been taking a while with. It's a really big game, and getting it perfect before launch was never going to be 100% on point. It just wasn't. But every time they've done nerfs and they've not addressed...
Okay, this guy's ridiculous. It is now.
quality of life stuff, I've just sort of kept my chin up. I've accepted it. I've said they're doing it in the future. Just give it a chance. Give it some time, right? But today, after this patch, even after sleeping on it, trying to calm down about this whole thing, it feels like we paid to beta test this game. These are not changes that feel like they should happen a month and a half after release. These are changes that feel like they should have happened before launch, but they clearly didn't have enough people testing the high-end content before that, creating builds in the endgame, testing stats in the endgame, all of that. And now it feels like they've used us, all the people who spent a load of money on this game, to tell them, hey, this stuff is strong, by the way. And then they used that information to nerf the hell out of us. They say this is for the health of the game long term, but what about the health of the game right now? What about short term? Because you just let millions of people come in for a month and a half and experience the game the way that it was, something that they considered a lot of fun, and then you tore it apart. It's weird. It's not right. There are better ways to do this. They could have applied these same nerfs over a longer period of time. They could have given us strong enough buffs to compensate while also diversifying our choices, or at the very goddamn least, they could have addressed some modicum of our quality of life complaints, while also...
I think they've tried to do that. I think there are things that they're doing. It's just, oh my God, bro. It's like they need somebody. And you know what? Why have community managers? Because they should have known. How do you not have someone working at Blizzard that looked at the patch and said, we need to do something when we drop this to talk to people, like immediately. Like, we can't just drop this. We have to announce something or write something at the top of the patch notes or whatever. And they clearly had no idea. Is that true? That they had no idea how bad this is and was, and the seasonal thing? Like, do they really not know? Because, bro, how did they not have someone working at Blizzard to come out and be the representation to say, hey, guys, we understand there's going to be a lot of complaining because, like, this isn't the most ideal situation. Here's why. But here's the awesome stuff that is coming and what we plan to do and whatever. And I don't know. But they must not know. They clearly don't. They think this is good.
But yeah, let's get into this one right here. It says, delay Season 1 and fix the mess you've made, Blizzard. It's sitting at 8,600 upvotes. Posted by Puzzled Second 698. Let's get into it. It says, the only good things in the entire patch were bug fixes to things that should have never have made it past beta testing to begin with, as well as making Uber Boss rewards solo only. The rest is completely out of touch and incoherent blabber that honestly makes me think they looked up and tried to copy Path of Exile patch notes and accidentally only looked at Ruthless instead of adding complex and challenging aspiring content for players to strive for, increasing rewards and incentives to do such content over just regular ARPG like farming. They nerfed player power by 50% across the board. I suppose adding gold and magic find percentage modifiers to each tier of Nightmare Dungeons was too hard as well. Rerolling items at the occultist is too expensive. Well, tough luck. You now have like 3 completely useless affixes for 4 out of 5 classes to help you brick your items even faster. Overworld is boring and meaningless past level 5. Gotcha. Let's make Helltide chests expensive for no reason while retaining the same terrible rewards. Helltide Sender drops were stealth nerfed, by the way, so that's pretty cool. Do enough for your Forgotten Souls and then never do them again. Back to Nightmare Dungeons you go. About the Senders, they said that was a mistake, supposedly. More on that in a future video. But anyway, let's get back into this. Now, it says the following. You want to farm more gold to reroll your good items? Unlucky, bro. Normal dungeons are completely irrelevant now because they drop nothing compared to Nightmare Dungeons. Best source of gold making, boosting. Oh yeah, I forgot. That's gone too. Let's go. Pointless to even bring up the whole season mechanic of Malignant Hearts, which are incredibly boring as per their Twitter post. Not
Yeah, I think a lot of people are worried about the seasonal theme. Like, people don't really like the seasonal theme and they don't understand it, right? And I don't blame them, because I don't really know either if these legendary gems essentially are going to add how much power to our, you know what I mean? Like, how much power are they going to add? I don't know. I don't yet know, and there's no PTR, so we can't test it. I don't know. How much power are they going to add? I'm not sure. But it doesn't seem good.
Very powerful at all, and they make you opt out, aka force you of wearing 750 armor on your rings via the skulls. You get another cheat death mechanic though. Wonderful. That's exactly what hardcore needed. Search function, stash tabs, loot filters, density buffs, real in-game content, making resistances actually functional, fixing gold sinks, balancing underused skills in a meaningful way, balancing irrelevant fixes so that they're competitive with the better ones, reworking sorcerers so that their class actually works in the game. They paid $100 for. F you, enjoy the battle pass though, it's real cheap. Yeah, I think they are trying to funnel you into Season 1 to get you to the Malignant Hearts, to ultimately get you in front of the battle pass. That's what I think. All right, so next up we have this one right here. It says, oh yeah, let's not forget, they said they'd fix VRAM memory leak and then completely retconned it by not including it in the patch notes, as well as literally.
So the memory leak is a big problem, right? Everybody has a problem with the memory leak. Something's up, no doubt about it. But they haven't addressed the memory leak. So I don't know if that means that they fixed it and they just didn't include it, or if there's some kind of other problem we don't know about. So we don't know that. We don't know if I'm assuming they fixed the memory leak, but it could be that they weren't sure if they fixed it or not. And because they weren't sure about it, they didn't include it in the patch notes, which, you know, I do understand that because they don't know. But it would have been good if they said that right now they still haven't figured out a way to solve it. You know what I mean? They could have said that, which would have been like, okay, they haven't figured that out yet. Okay. But they just left it out so nobody really knows what's going on. You know, like, we don't know. Nobody knows what to think. All right, let's see if we can get let's see if I can get this page to work. Okay, let's see. All right, back to the video.
Any other fix to the game stability. I had 0 crashes prior to this patch, and now I've gotten Fenris like 5 times since the patch. Cool, thanks for that. Could go on, but the bottom line is that I truly believe this is the singular worst major patch in ARPG history. And the only way they can possibly save the game, not the season, the game, is either panic delaying the Season 1 launch while trying to clean up their own mess, or completely deleting the patch and just launching the season with the previous foundation. They just put out job openings for basically every position under the sun for Diablo 4 like 2 weeks ago. Maybe wait until those are filled and then try again. You want to know the real kicker? Double goblins would have been better than this. Yeah,
Yikes.
So this is bad. This is really, really bad. Them changing up things this significantly on the downturn, by the way, with the nerfs universally. I have no idea why they would do this. Now, previously, again, what I have said over the past few months, and I've reiterated it time and time again, is Blizzard needs to be extremely, extremely cautious about nerfs.
Honestly, guys, I could go over this. There's so much more. There's so many more videos. There's so many more things to go over that I haven't gone over that I can't even get to. Like there's so much more to say and to go over, but I can't do it. I'm out of time, basically. I'll talk more about it later. I have a couple ideas and a couple of things I want to zero in on. See you, Alan. They need to start listening to this community or the game will die quick. Yeah, kind of like Diablo 3. You know? But I'm going to go play Diablo 3 in a little while. Anyway, I'm out of here. I hope everybody, I hope something good happens because right now this is bad. This is very bad. I'll see you guys later. There's so many things I missed. I'll probably make a video about it and hone in on the things that are really important. But right now I'm just confused by all of this. I'll see you guys later.